You know what's strange? We talk endlessly about our dogs like they're just furry little humans. We buy them sweaters, we make them Instagram accounts, we project all our messy human emotions onto them. But if you asked the heavy hitters of antiquity, guys like Aristotle, Homer, or Pliny the Elder, they'd tell you you're completely delusional. And here's what nobody tells you. Your dog does not see you as a human being. Back then, the domestic dog was part of the household, sure, but nobody was pretending it was a rational creature. Aristotle broke it down brutally. He split the world into two camps, phone and logos. Phone is just voice, basic noise, pleasure, pain. Dogs have that. But logos, rational thought, morality, the ability to actually grasp complex human concepts, dogs have zero logos. When your dog looks at you, there's no deep, soulful connection happening. It doesn't see a person, it sees a walking cluster of sensory data, a specific smell, a familiar pitch in your voice, a giant vending machine that dispenses kibble and safety. That's it. This ancient mindset gets pretty dark when you look at the myths. Take Ovid. He wrote about a master huntsman named Actaeon. Picture this. It's ancient Greece. You're out hunting, take a wrong turn in the woods, and accidentally stumble upon the goddess Diana taking a bath. She's furious. She splashes water in your face, and suddenly you're a stag, a deer. Ovid is totally ruthless about the details here. Actaeon's body changes, but his mind? Completely human. He's a guy trapped inside a beast. But here comes the real nightmare. Actaeon's own pack of 50 hunting hounds catches his scent. Ovid even names them: Melampus, the black-footed hound, Icnobates, the expert tracker. These dogs were his life, but because they lack logos, they can't sense the human consciousness screaming trapped inside the deer. They only know what their senses tell them right now. Actaeon tries to yell, but he has no human voice left, no phone. Without that familiar sound, his dogs don't see their master, they just see dinner. They tear him apart. Not because they're evil, because without the right scent and sound, human identity is completely invisible to a dog. But flip the script. What if the visual completely changes, but the raw biological signals stay the same? Look at Homer's Odyssey. The hero, Odysseus, finally makes it back to Ithaca after 20 years of war and hell. The goddess Athena disguises him as a filthy, beat-up old beggar so he can sneak into his own palace. The disguise is perfect. It fools his son, his wife, his oldest friends. The humans all need passwords, hidden scars, logical proof to believe it's him. Humans get tricked by their eyes. But as Odysseus walks up to the gates, there's his old hunting dog, Argos. The dog is half dead, lying in a pile of trash, covered in ticks. But Argos doesn't look at the beggar's rags. He just drops his ears and wags his tail. Instant recognition. 20 years later, the pitch of the man's voice and his unique scent haven't changed. Argos bypasses all the visual garbage. He doesn't see a rational human or a social status. He just senses his guy. And once he gets that final validation, Argos just closes his eyes and dies. Mission accomplished. The ancients knew dogs were basically biological machines, and they hacked them. Xenophon, a Greek general, wrote a whole manual on this, called the Cynegeticus. He didn't treat dogs like pals, he treated them like psychological clay. He said you have to give them short, sharp names. Psyche, meaning soul. Thymus, meaning courage. You use words to lock down their predatory instincts. You let them tear up the prey they catch so they link you directly to their deepest, darkest drives. Because without a human to anchor them, a dog's mind is a chaotic mess. Just look at Aesop's fables. Remember the one about the dog crossing a stream with a piece of meat? The dog looks down, sees its reflection, thinks it's another dog with better meat, snaps at it, and loses its actual dinner. That was the ancient world's view in a nutshell. Dogs are slaves to their senses. They are trapped in a reactive loop. They need human logos to give their world any kind of structure, or they just chase shadows. But because a dog isn't burdened with human overthinking, the Romans actually respected them for it. Pliny the Elder wrote about dogs in his Natural History. He was obsessed with this stoic idea of animal loyalty. He wrote about the dog of Titius Sabinus, a guy who got executed. The dog refused to leave his corpse. When they threw the body in the river, the dog jumped in, trying to keep it afloat. Pliny didn't think the dog was making a moral choice. He knew it was just pack biology. The dog's entire existence is tied to the pack leader. It's hardwired. This lack of human rationality is exactly why ancient myths put dogs at the gates of hell. Cerberus, the three-headed nightmare dog of the underworld, he doesn't judge your sins. He doesn't care if you were a good person. He just sniffs out the biological difference between the living and the dead. The goddess Hecate walked around with a pack of howling hounds. Ancient texts said her dogs could see the naked human soul, not the mask you wear for society, the actual raw state of your spirit. The domestic dog couldn't care less about your social status, your job title, or your human complexities. It just sees the naked reality of who you are. And maybe that's the bottom line. When your dog looks at you, it strips away all the human noise. It doesn't see your ego. It sees a biological coordinate, a rhythm, a scent. To be seen by your dog is to be known in the most primal, unvarnished way possible. It's a truth that's deeply comforting and maybe just a little bit terrifying. If this hit home for you, please subscribe.